Okay. So guys, any of you remember what some high level, like from the previous classes, Amol or someone who gone through the notes which have any, can you brief me like what data model is? So I would make this an interactive session. So something will come out of you, and based on that only like the interaction happens. So some high level understanding from the 2-3 classes which had been done. What is a data model? With your basic words, what anyone? Okay. Am I audible? Okay, fine.
Data model is XML formatted metadata definitions of entities and type list.
Okay, that's the definition. I mean, what do you understand with that?
Like data model is like it will have all the application which can be used in Guidewire.
Fine. So coming with that, so definition, I would say, I would say like, okay, new students, so good demo. Guys, new guys, like, did you understand what guide, I mean, with the high level flow, like what it is, like what's the market out there? Or is it fine if I continue the class, or like, do you have any questions out there, like what you are expecting out of this class? I mean,
Aditya will talk to you offline because I don't want to, interrupt this class because I have some other questions also. I will talk to you later.
okay, fine. No issues. Like, so I'll go ahead. Like, for newcomers, like I'll spare another 15 minutes at the end. So again, I'll give some more in-depth view of what Guidewire is, how this works, and what's the scope and what's the interview things and all. So I'll give at the end like 15 minutes. So let's just start with the demo of the first class. Like, so what data model is. So if you see, right, the first basic let me increase the slide. So basic definition, when someone asks what is data model, so it is a set of XML formatted metadata definitions of entities and type lists. So it is nothing but, first basing out of the definition, it's the format which the entity data model is XML format, first thing, and definitions of entities and type lists. So let me show you quickly how the entities and type lists look in the Guidewire Studio. So guys, like this is the studio. So where the integration developers or the configuration developers will do their work. So this is all. So do not worry, like by looking at this is so much of code, it is not our thing. So it is all given by Guidewire itself by default. So nothing I did. So it is out of the box code. So major role would be customizing you on top of the base application based on the demand of the client. So that is one thing. Let me close all. So if you see, right, the definition says XML metadata definitions. If you see under configuration, config and metadata, we will have two things, entity and type list. Let me open one entity. So if you go to text, if you see, right, what's the format of this? It's an XML based format. So that's where the definition comes. XML formatted metadata definitions of entities and type lists. So that is nothing but the data model. So how it is, 1 second share. So how it is for you in the real world. So let's say in the real world, we'll try to map that with a person. So whenever someone is trying to get a policy, or someone is trying to get a policy, so the insurance company, they'll try to reach that person and get some basic info. Let's say the person's in a name, age, address. So these are present in the studio in what format? XML format. So that is reference to the database table. So once after getting the person details, what they'll do, they'll try to insert into the database, right? So to store it somewhere, they have to store it. So these things are stored in the database, but how it is present in the UI or in the Guidewire Studio is nothing but the data model. So if you see the person, so we call it as entity. So in the Guidewire context, so here we'll call it as person table, Here we call it as person entity. So the fields here, whatever you see, are called columns. The same, I mean fields or columns. The same way, columns we call it as name column, age column, address. So each new entry for Ramesh, it can be one row. Suresh, it can be another row. Those are rows, and each specific value is nothing but columns: name column, age column, address column. So if you see, right, so it is present, it's a base. So data model has to be the base for you to start with the Guidewire development. So you have to understand how the structure is built on top of these data model. Core for all Guidewire applications, structure, understanding the structure is critical to make modifications. So as I said, right, so Guidewire itself is nothing but, Guidewire development is nothing but modifications to the existing thing. So data model, how it is there. So when I'll so the session would be like flipping back from the notes to this, so that it will be a real-time example, and again I'll show you how to create, how to do all this. So if you see, right, all these are entities. So if you see address entity, address, so these are check entity. What is this note taker? Anyone has idea what Guidewire? Do you see this note? Guidewire's note taker is requesting to record this meeting. Let me declare that. Okay. Okay, fine. So claim related info, all these. So entity will be created in the studio. This again intact will be mapped to the database table. So let me open contact entity. So this is how it looks, and no need of doing anything here. What you will be doing is you will be doing it here. So contact entity, if you see, right, contact related data like email address, name, tax ID, score, primary foot, all these are columns for you to reference in the studio. The same will be present in the database in the same column based things. So that is nothing but the entities. So these are based to all the Guidewire applications. Even if you see ClaimCenter or PolicyCenter or BillingCenter, so those, it will be the same. Data model still be the same. So when we start the Guidewire application, that is running the application, all the data will be loaded. All the data models. See, all the entities will be entities in the same entities and type list will be loaded into the server. So once the loading is done, right, what Guidewire does is this XML data or entities or type list, so they will create a Java class from this. So if you see, right, contact.eti is there, a Java class will be created when we start the server. Contact.java, if you see, right, Java class is generated for that. So whatever fields we have here, whatever columns we have here, the same columns will be created in the Java format, Java class format. You do not have to do anything. It is done by default by the Guidewire. So that interaction between the user interface and the database table will be run in the background with the help of the Java class. Do not worry. So it is the same Java like functionality, only it uses this Java as a middleware with the help of which data from the database will be pulled in, and when we update the data in the studio, the same will be committed or inserted into the database with the help of the Java class. So which is generated by the studio itself on the server startup or when we click on save. So we do not need to do anything to generate this. It is automatically generated by the studio itself. So you understand business objects, business things, or whatever the use cases we see, right? Those will be saved in the entity format. So the wording itself, you see, entities defined in the data model map to tables. So entities, like I told, person entity, person table, and fields map to database columns. These are the fields: name, age, and address. So they are mapping to name, age, address, columns. We call it as columns here. We call it as fields here. So there are like multiple relationship keys there. like arrays. So let's say the person is having multiple addresses. So in that case, what we'll do is we'll make it as an array key so that one person will have multiple address, but address table will still be the same. So that concept will come later, like arrays and all. Those are virtual keys or foreign relationship columns. So if you see the thing, Guidewire generates Java classes and Gosu classes in the application server per programmatic interface to the entities and type list. So what does this say? Programmatic interface, like nothing but saving into the database or doing some kind of work or getting from data from the database. So these Guidewire, what it do is it generates Java class from these entities. Guys, did you get it, or do you want me to repeat it? So this is just the functional concept, how it runs. So at the end of the day, what you need to remember is what is a person entity. So what you need to get is like what exactly it is. What you can do is like it is kind of referencing the business functionality and it maps to the database table. That's it you want to understand. Any questions here, guys? First page.
So what is the database name which this person entity is mapped to, Aditya?
Yeah, it will be it depends on the this thing, whatever center you are using. So if you are using ClaimCenter, so it will be CC underscore person. So if you are using PolicyCenter, PC underscore person. That also will be covered later point. So if you are extending this person, like new person is created from the base entity. 1 minute, guys. Sorry.
Do you have any mapping document that you want to share it?
Yeah, I'll 1 second. Sorry. My daughter is pinging. Let me mute for 1 minute. Please, this mute. Sorry, guys. Okay. So what was the question? Sorry, I didn't miss it.
So I was just checking with you if there is any mapping document between the database table names and the entity name.
No, there will not be any data mapping as such. If you see, right? So when I clicked on the entity table, I mean entity here on the UI, you can also see the table name over there. The same contact, the same table will be contact, but basing on the application what we are using, the table exact table name will vary. So it will be CC underscore contact if it as this is a ClaimCenter application.
Yeah, I got it, Aditya. Thank you.
So just we do not need any kind of mapping as such. So it will be mentioned in the entity itself. So this will be covered. I'll show it like how it is and all at the later point.
And Aditya, how we have to open this PC underscore person or CC underscore person?
Yeah.
This table, how to open?
Yeah, I'll tell how it is. Database, there is a database config.xml file.
No, please from the scratch because you have to go to projects configuration from there.
I first thing, guys, remember two shortcuts. Alt Shift N. Alt Shift N will give this search file. If you open this, like it will give all the file name search. Alt Shift N, and one more search is Alt Shift F. So which will give the internal in detail search. Inside the files also we can search. Alt Shift N is nothing but the file search. So what I opened is search for database -config. So this is an XML file. Database, if you search, it will come. Database -config.xml. So this is where we map our database. So some organizations use Oracle database, some uses SQL Server, some uses SQL with file groups. So depending on that, we have to configure. So, but Guidewire comes with the base application H2 database. If you see, right, H2 database will be coming here. So that will be used here. I am using this Mac setup. I did not open the H2 database. So at the end, if someone has this, I can someone open the studio real quick? Or open the studio. I mean, if anyone is having the server up, I can really quickly. Yeah, you can share it. I'll show how it looks. Or else we can do it at the end also. It's not a problem. It's like, yeah. So that is where, like, basing on this database configuration. So it has, this is H2, which is given by Guidewire on its own. So we can see it. There is a folder in the repository in our studio code itself. Like, I'll quickly show. So ideally, these ones are right. All the applications or the projects uses studio. I mean, Windows application, but I somehow configured it here in this. So we have to go to repository. There is a com, and that, if you see, right, H2 database, H2, and the version. So this jar file, whatever you see, we have to run it. I don't know how this works here. Jar cannot be opened in the Mac OS. Let me try fix that some way or the other, and I'll show, or else I can show it in your video. I mean, your screens also. Fine. So that's the database thing. Got it right?
Yeah.
Okay. So coming back to the note, I mean theory. So this one is fine, right? Mapping the entity, I mean, how the entity and the physical table are related. So that is what you should understand. Entity is nothing but a kind of physical table, but for user interface in the studio. So it is the base to all the application. Definition you have to remember for interview perspective. So understanding perspective, entity is nothing but a physical, I mean, how it's kind of a object similar to physical database, but it is present in the studio.
Definition nothing but the data type and the length and all, as an example.
Sorry, I'll show it how when I create in the studio, right? I'll show how it can be done. So the generator class, if you see, right, the same application server, the generator class are stored after serving, I mean, starting the server. So this acts as an interface or middleware between the physical database and the studio to work on the data, like insertion or updation or deletion. Those kind of things can be done with the help of the Java classes. It internally uses, but we'll not be touching it. We use Gosu or dot notations to work on those entities. So now comes the definition of entities. Entities represent the business, real-time business objects. So invoice, if you say, it comes to BillingCenter, ClaimCenter, person related to both ClaimCenter and PolicyCenter, policy, it relates to policy. So these are the main objects. So if you go to ClaimCenter, claim is the main object around which all the entities will revolve. So let's say when we try to call the agents or the customer service representatives, asking like, have we met with an accident? So please help us with like raising service request, taking up the claim, and then they will ask, where did you get where is the lost location, or where did the accident happen? So who all are involved in the accident? What and all got damaged? Is there any other? Did you hit the third party, and who is at fault? Like, is it your fault? Is it the third party's fault? And do you need any service request, like getting the vehicle trolled? Taken away with the help of trolling. What do you call? Yeah. Third part, accident support. And do you need any ambulance and all? Those information, if you see, right, everything is linked to the claim itself. So those kind of entities are there. So from the business perspective, here, if you see, right, how many entities can be created? We can create person entities, like how contacts, if let's say contacts, and that is like nothing but who all are the contacts involved in the accident. Vehicles, what are the vehicles involved in the accident? And reporting where did the accident take place. That is nothing but location, lost location. And do you need any service, I mean, help from third parties, like the service request should be created and notes to be taken. Those kind of all the data, all the functional things which are related for any specific claim, I mean, loss or claim. So those all will be mapped as an entities in the studio. So again, so when we want to display some information on the UI, so again the claim, this data model or entities or type list is the main root objects, main based out of which we either display or create some kind of logic between the pages and all. So entities and type lists are the main pillars out of which UI works, and again fetching the data and everything is. So if you see, right, there are two things. Let me show that. Let's say contact. So these and all implementation, like by Java, right, extending some entities, so extending some classes. These are all implementation. That I'll tell how it is later. Now, see this. Like if you see, right, there are columns. There are columns, type keys, and you have arrays. You have one-to-one. Let me show up. There are foreign keys. Foreign keys column. So what are they differ? So columns are nothing but the normal data storage elements. So these will be directly related to the physical database tables. So let's say here we have multiple columns, email address to fax. These all are right directly stores the data into the database table. So whatever email address we enter, it will be directly stored in the physical database. So type keys are nothing but the type list values. So if you see, right, type key, when I clicked on the type key, so the associated type list, it is asking what is the type list. Type list here in the sense, or it is nothing but the drop down, or let's say we have fixed set of values. So if you, in India, you say, if you say, you select something while filling the address. So when it comes to state option, so we'll see a state, and the next to that we'll see a drop down. So there will be only 29 states, and these are fixed. So in that scenarios, like, so instead of getting the values or hard coding the values, so what we do is we'll create a state type list which has all only these many values. So let me open one type list. Here I think states also will be there. Yeah, state type list, if you see, right? So in US, I think 50 states are defined here. So all these states values, each value, these are only fixed set of values. If we want, we can add it here, but these are available directly for usage in the drop down. So mostly type list in the Guidewire is used for drop down, and for fixed set of values, we'll use them. So each row in the type list is called type code. So how are they referenced here? So let's say contact. I am having a type key. We mentioned, I mean, here if you see, it is a type code, and this will be referenced in the entity with the help of type key. Repeating it again, type list values in the normal entity we use columns and all, but in the type list we use type codes as each row. And this type key or type list is referenced with the help of a keyword type key. So that now here, this is the name for this table name. I mean, table column name, it will be fax for phone country. And what we will get is the type code. Here, the secondary value is nothing but what's the type list that are being used here. So it is phone country code. Let me open that only. Control Shift and phone country code.
Aditya, I have a question. So this is related to contact entity. Okay.
Correct.
Could you please go there? So I'm trying to understand the difference between a few elements. So if you take a look at the column with
Correct.
tax ID as a primary value and SSN as a secondary value.
Which one?
Yeah, you need to just come there. Yes. Yeah. And again, if you go to column email address 1 and column email address 2, why there is a data type
Okay,
defined
that
under
yeah,
value, why
that's
not
one,
tax
one
ID?
1 minute. So that is the second part. I'll go through those also, column parameters. Those all will come in next classes, like the continuation of this class itself. Like see, so basic data types are column. So column, if you have, there is a column param which defines how the data type should be. It says like size and all. If it's a varchar, depending on that, we'll have the size. There are some fixed set of values, precision. Those also will be there. So that we need to configure based on our requirements. So again, if you see, right, type
Hello.
Aditya, we lost you.
Yeah.
Aditya, are you talking on mute or we can't hear you?
I think he lost his network.
Oh, okay. Maybe he'll
Might
join
we
back.
need to wait. He will
Yeah,
reconnect.
yeah, true, true.
Network connectivity issues, so he just logged out. He's logging back in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry, can you come again?
నెట్వర్క్ ఇష్యూ ఉండే తను లాగౌట్ అయిపోయిందంట
Yeah,
మళ్ళీ
yeah,
తను లాగిన్ అవుతున్నాడు ఒక 2 minutes లో.
yeah, correct. And I think the network issue ఉండొచ్చు. So yeah, we can wait. That's not a problem. Only.
hello.
Hi, Aditya. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry. So there was an Wi-Fi issue. Fine. So where am I? Let me share it.
So my question was a little bit different, Aditya. So
Okay. What was it? Like I missed it.
so why at certain elements a data type is called out, and why at certain elements a different value is called out? When I say different value, for example, in entity, named contact, right? So could you please go to that contact entity? You're there, right? So there, if you take a look at the email address one, it has the data type defined as varchar explicitly, right? So
Correct.
when you come down to the other column,
Hmm.
wherein you see the tax ID, there is a social security number, SSN, which is documented in place of secondary value. Is there any difference why, certain places they are calling the data type, and certain other places they're calling, the synonymously called names? In India, maybe tax ID is what it is called. In
Yeah.
US, it is SSN, right?
Yeah.
So why is that, differentiation is what my question.
Yeah, that I'll come to the later point. So even if I tell that, right, it will be confusing for others also. Let let me go through the flow.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that is kind of an in-depth topic. So even if I tell it, like, it will be confusing and they'll be feeling. So this is the first stage, right? Let them have the basic understanding of what entity and type list, and then like I can focus on those topics.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you.
Right. So. As I said, right? So we have column elements, column fields, which stores the data, and relationship columns are the ones which try to map the data. So like, let's say we have arrays, foreign keys, or relationship to another entities. Those are the ones which will be differentiated, like I would have shown it. So columns are the ones which are being shown. Columns and type keys are for data elements, and for these foreign key arrays 1 to 1, those are the relationship fields or elements, you can say. So, so that comes to the definition of how the basic entity works. So relationship, so there will be these 3-4 kind of relationship, like foreign key, it's like relating one entity to another entity. As I shown, this is how it looks. And arrays, let's say one entity has relationship with, or it has relationship with multiple rows of another entity. Let's say claim can have multiple incidents. Like in that, let's say in an accident, it can be multiple incidents: person incident, injury incident, vessel incident, vehicle incident. So those are related to the claim with the help of array. When we try to get a claim here, when you pull the data of a claim, these multiple entities, multiple incidents will also be pulled with the help of array. So one claim can have multiple nodes, like one to many relation kind of thing only. But so this is not straightforward. So this is array. So type keys are nothing but the type list entities. So referencing them to the main entity. So this is the high level definition what the column and the the data column, data fields, and the relationship entities look like. Right. Again, next, any questions here? The how the differentiation varies, I'll explain, Srikanth, at the later point. Then
So, Aditya, so I was just thinking loud, like if you're able to show the user interface and show how it looks like, in terms of now you called out array, right?
yeah,
So array,
I'll
it stores a similar data in terms of incidents, as an example. So
correct.
if you go to that particular screen, right, and then show how it looks like for that particular array type, so
Hmm.
maybe it will give more, you know, uh,
Understanding.
understand, clear cut understanding is what my 2 cents.
Yeah, I will go through that. So even I showed it earlier the same way. So now coming to the type list which I was showing, right? So this is where the business log implementation would be like. Let's say we have some drop downs. So we say United Country, the city, I was states and all, right? We whatever this type list in the state, right? So these values will be used here in this. So when we try to reference that, so we'll try to reference the state type list which is available so that all the values from the type list will be fetched here. The same way, like I did not create any claims. I'll try to see the array entity claim. Yeah, administration, I think something will get. So, now coming to the type list, which I was showing, right? So this is where the business log implementation would be like. Let's say we have some drop downs. So we say United Country, the city, I was states and all, right? We were, whatever this type list in the state, right? So these values will be used here in this. So when we try to reference that, so we'll try to reference the
Do we need to go through that file a claim workflow, or
Sorry?
do we need to go through that file a claim workflow? We need to file a claim, right?
No, creating a claim that I'll tell at some point, not now. Like let them understand the basics first before going ahead. And so it is like functional part, it can be done later. So my plan would be configuration, how to configure that first, what is data model, then how to configure the UI, then understanding the functionality. If I start functionality, this is like development program, like configuration, integration, and then comes the conceptual things like functional
Okay.
part.
Okay.
So it's not the functional training, it's kind of a technical training. Functional can be done at some point, like those are interview specific things or like project specific things hands-on. So the basics has to come from configuration and integration, then only they can go ahead and do some development kind of things.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks for clarifying, Adit.
Yeah. So let's say, yeah, super user, if you see, right? Roles would be, yeah. So how the arrays and this looks, right? Let's say this user can have multiple rows. So activity is one role. This is, sorry, one more admin role. So here if I update it, right? So this user, super user, is having multiple roles. So relation from super user, let's say I think it is in contact and roles. So one is having multiple array of roles. So this is how the relationship will be there. So let me open contact roles. Contact role, something else. That again depends if it's the same like contact addresses. One contact can have multiple addresses. So the use case is like having array for the addresses. For one contact, multiple addresses. One person can have multiple official IDs. The same way. The use case is that. So one of the example is this, like you contact having multiple rows.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
Srikanth, we will continue the class. If you are having any doubts now, on the finally we can ask.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Okay. You just note the point where you are getting the doubt so that we can clarify it. This is the recording session, right? So other people will be get confused. Already you are having good knowledge upon this insurance domain. So in between, if you ask it, they will be completely confused because there are many people here.
Would be like so most of them are non-IT or not basics. I would like to focus on them like they. So even if I tell what's the difference, if you ask a question, right? So why do you see SSN and all this? Even if I start telling them now, first before ahead, like they should get a grip on what entities. And so first time most of you would have, some even would not have seen what a table is. And so that's the,
Many people here actually don't know what is data model actually. So
Okay.
lot of the people, so first they have to understand theoretically, then we will go practically.
Yeah, sure, Venkat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Anyhow, the doubts are mostly welcome, but we will discuss after the class.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Okay, I think this is how the basic is like. So subtypes, I'll cover the subtype topic today and then we can stop it. So let's say we have a contact. So let's say there is a contact or a contact type, and contact we have some data and we have person contact, company contact, and organization kind of contact. Let's say there are three things which are different for different. So person will have first name and last name, whereas company won't be having, let's say, company's name. Organization, if you take organization name. In that case, so we can, instead of having everything in one entity, we can subtype the contact entities such that the common things will go to the contact entity, and the specific things like at a down level, which are all common, which are to their things. Like let's say first name and last name is only to person, and organization name is only to organization. Company's name is only to company. Those will be going to the subtyped entities. So that is how the common things, whatever you see, right? Address, establishment year. Establishment year also again goes to the specific things. So address, address should be something, and some other specific information which the contact is having will go to the contact as a super type entity, and the subtypes will have the specific information which are at their level. Now let me show that how it looks in the UI. Yeah, if you see, right, employee way, employee, let's say name, tax ID, address. There can be, let's say, employee, there are multiple types of employees: contract employee, full-time employee, part-time employee. So this name, tax ID of address and will be common. So we'll be having these things at the high level, which is nothing but the super type entity, whereas contract person will have hourly rate, company from which their contract, I mean the company which they are associated, and the contract type. So these are all the other subtype entity level fields. So these will not be common to all these three. So annual salary will not be common to contract. So hourly rate will not be common to full time. So in this case, we use subtype. So this will be a super type element, I mean super type entity, and these contract, part-time, full-time will be a subtype entities. So how this will looks in the studio. Now let's say business scenarios in the Guidewire will be rules, contacts, the same thing, person, contacts, those are the business case scenarios. Now let's say an example of rule. Now rule, if you see, right, it is a main entity which we created. And if we have abstract here, if you see abstract thing in the contact, I mean rule entity, it is true. That means it can be subtyped. If we are making it as false, it cannot be subtyped. That means no subtypes can be created from this entity. So general definition would be a way of dividing an entity into several related entity types. So we want to split across, instead of having a single big entity with multiple records on the UI, multiple fields or columns on the UI, we just want to split it across multiple entities. So at each level, each one will have different business perspective. So it will be a kind of hierarchy. One top entity is nothing but the super type entity, and the below ones are the subtypes. And subtypes can further have their another subtypes also, like hierarchy, one family and one more related family. So again, at one point, if you make it as abstract as false, so it will further will not have any other subtypes. So if you make this here, if you see, right, so rule, I made the abstract as true. That means it can have subtypes. So what I did, CC rules. So we can have multiple rules, CC rules, CC rules. So those kind of things, if you want an example, we can have it. CC rule, if you see, right, subtype. So how you can create it? So I'll show just a quick example how we can create. We need to create them in the entity. So everything is an entity, new entity, and the entity type has to be a subtype. So test something, I'll give subtype entity. We mentioned the type as subtype, and okay. So what should be the super type? So it's here. What is the super type? So let me do the same thing, CC rule. It will show all the available types which can be super type. CC rule, let's say, testing purpose. If you see, right? So how it is, it states that I need to implement some of those. So if you see, right, so the main entity is here, it is a test subtype entity. Now the super type, as we mentioned, it is a CC rule, and it is the type of this is subtype. So we can add these specific columns related to this, like test. Let's say type bit. Null, it can be null, false, null, okay, false. So mandatory has to be there. So in that way, rule version dependent is not implemented. So we should implement rule version in rule version. What is they saying? Dependent. So based on the errors only, we should be resolving all this. So it is gone. Entity not implemented. Save it. Increase version dependent. This is how it looks like. Let me recall that. So basically, it is like the entity will be defined here, and the subtype entities, right? Whatever we want to create, we will be creating based on the rules. I mean, how it is entity type we mention and create, and the super type will also be created. So if you mention that abstract as false, that means we cannot subtype the entity. So that is the last end for that. So that's all we will come with our class. If there are any methods on that, any enhancements, those are available. Okay. So as the abstract, find top level entities are abstract, right? So those abstract entities, right, in the Java, what we will learn is like, if there is anything abstract, we cannot create an instance out of it. So only one instance of that will be there. Let's say if you make the subtype as abstract as fall, in that case, we can create an instance of those subtypes. Instance is nothing but an object out of it. So similar example is like contact person, company. This is how it looks. I think it's already 9:15. Guys, any questions quickly, like basic understanding of what entities and type list and all? Data model. So we can further details we can discuss, like if you stay back.
Abstract type, we have to make it in this super. Okay, not in the sub.
Abstract type is the super type. I mean, if you make it as true, so it can be subtyped.
Okay. Means it's a indirectly we can say it's inheritance concept.
Same inheritance concept, how it works in Java, the same thing.
Okay.
So entity types, we are trying to define, understand what's the entity types. And the next class would be how to link the entities. Here comes the foreign key relations and arrays. Those things will be done one-to-one relationship next class, like many relationship, what it is, circular relationship. So that is there. So how to create these entities will be done in the data model file structure. So where it is stored, how to create the base application entities extension. And I mean, if you want Guidewire already provided a base entities. If you want to add few fields onto the base entities, how it is done. It is done with the help of extending those things, extending base application entities. How to create custom entities based on your business requirement, that is done like new entities addition. Those, and same thing with the entity, this is nothing but entity extensions and type list extension. So type list, we have some filters concept in the type list. So base understanding that. Once this is done, right? So mostly the data model, it is done. So the main concept is understanding what it is, how to do this. Let me post this notes in the chat so that guys, you can go through that. Let me know once this is available to you.
ఒకటి మన